10 minutes.
Testing. Okay. Get this thing off the screen. What up, people? How y'all doing? What up? What's up, people? Yeah, man. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. My name is Tim Black. Glad to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. Who beat the Super Bowl? Anybody know who beat the Super Bowl, man? I haven't watched the Super Bowl in many years. I'd probably say maybe 10 years, right? My grandbaby said, yo, her teacher's into the Super Bowl. So she told me last week, early this week, she says, Pop, we got to watch the Super Bowl. So I, with my granddaughter, Neilani, watched the Super Bowl. And yeah, I was like, wow, this is not competitive at all. This Mahomes, I've seen him play before. I know he's supposed to be good. They didn't give this guy a chance to throw the ball at all. So she was for the Eagles. I was for the Eagles just because, I mean, come on, they've been beating so much. The Chiefs keep winning. So I'm like, I'm going with the Eagles, man. Plus, I've been to Philly. I've never been to Kansas City. And turns out I guessed right. And I saw something Stephen A. Smith said. He said that the Eagles had a hell of a defense. He was right. So yeah, I don't know. Last time I looked, it was 34-0. I think they scored 6 points. Wow, I don't know what it is. I'm sure someone in the comment section knows. Even if you're not into football. Amazing. So I want to give a shout out to my people on Facebook, YouTube, and of course X. What's up, Buck Bewley? What's going on, Black Mamba? Give it up for them moderating. Yeah, man. Lot happening. Actually, not a whole lot, though. Not a whole lot worth talking about. You know, guys, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with a show tonight because I was watching the football game. I was chilling most of the day after I did my work on I put out a D.L. Hughley video. Had some other stuff to do, and I was like, wow. I looked up, it was 5:30. Had a phone call with Dr. Abdullah from All Things Education. He's got a YouTube channel I want you to check out, Dr. Abdullah. And we were talking about the Board of Education, him being a teacher of young people. Yeah, we talked about that and had a great conversation about it. It's good to get a subject matter expert's opinion on the stuff that the rest of us just talk about. And it was great insight provided in that conversation. I got off the phone around 6. I watched the game. The game come on at 6:30, and I'm running around. I say, oh my God, it's 9 o'clock. The game, I'm trying to watch the game and prep. I'm like, what am I talking about? And then I hit up Buck Bewley. I said, Buck, man, I don't have anything to talk about. It's too late to cancel, though. So I'm going to have to do what I'm going to have to do. And he's like, hey, man, you could just talk about anything tonight. I have faith. So tonight's show is entitled, You Can Talk About Anything, I Have Faith. And this is just tea with honey. Ginger, honey tea. Green tea. Yeah, I know some people, they can have several drinks and do shows, and people will be like, wow, that's a great insight. And I'm not going to knock it. I mean, people have fun doing what they do. Where were we? Okay, so, but I did come up with some stuff. Ironically enough, I came up with some stuff. I got the Tim Black Wolfpack in the house. My people came through. They came through. Yeah, they did. What's up, Rude Boy? Rude Boy. Ula Christie, M. Spark. Aaron. What's up, Aaron? Roberts. Matthew Wayne in the house. Tobias Grove, Guy Kimball. Muzzle Point busting them out. Cram, what's up, Cram? Or Crom. Malcolm Rex is in the house once again. Information Man Show. Megs is in the house doing what she does. Kat Negrita, Guy Kimball. Thank you for coming through. Hit the like button, guys. Share it out. We have some VIPs. I got VIPs on my YouTube channel, too. We got VIPs from the Tim Black YouTube channel, guys. I got to start shouting those guys out. I got to give my props to those folks, man. VIPs. Bo Party Suck Johnson. This shirt has seen some days. My man Dr. Abdullah was like, Tim, I like that Bo Party Suck Johnson shirt. I'm like, bro, that shirt go back 4-5 years, man. But I'm like, it's not even that. Look, this is 5 years. You know, this is a 5-year-old t-shirt, and it's still from Spreadshirt. I can still fit it. And I was like, I'm just gonna wear it. So there it is. Bo Party Suck Johnson. That's what people gotta remember. Bo Party Suck. That's it. And that's available in the YouTube shop. Well, if you click below, Tim Black Wolfpack mug, the Tim Black mug, go to timblackmug.com to get your mug. If you want shirts and other gear, you know, you click my you go to Tim Black Gear. I think it's Tim Black Gear, but it's linked below all my videos. You'll be able to get my gear. And one of the great shirts, one of the best sellers out the store is this one. People also like, don't let nobody take your cornbread. They like that shirt. They like that shirt too. So, and of course the legacy Tim Black Wolfpack shirt goes well. We go hard in the paint, people. We go hard in the paint. So, man, how's everybody doing, man? Y'all, you feeling okay? You okay? I know you got a lot of stress on you. Looking at a Monday morning coming up, you know what I'm saying? You know how it can be. I feel that way every day of the week, actually. Every day's a work day, like even when I don't have a show, I'm working. Believe that. It's a lot of work running a little small business, man. I want to give it up to my Tim Black Wolfpack and my VIPs. Give it up for the VIPs, man, to hold down the show. Here goes the list of VIPs. I'm here. I got to say a word or two about this, man. This is what I noticed, right? I noticed this thing. We okay with the volume, Black Mamba? We okay with the volume? I hope so. I want to go see Black Mamba post one of her. I'm going to pin Black Mambas, one of her comments. Something's been going on. I've been needing to talk to people about. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Black Mama says, I have the we are all Johnson. Yeah, I feel you, yes. Yeah. The Revelator's in the house. What's up, Revelator of Indifference? So let me get off this. Let me tell you, okay. You ready for the show? Check this out, man. I'm noticing that there are people that have been with me since 2020. And some of those people have politically stayed the same. And some of those people are upset with me. Because, they say I'm changing. I've changed. Well, you should have saw me before 2020. You've been with me since 2020. You think I changed now. You should have saw the way I was in 2014. I hated everything political. Before 2014, I couldn't stand politics. You would never hear me ever support a politician doing anything at all. I was raised with an immense amount of mistrust for politicians and the government. Okay? So let's put that out the way. I was well aware of the bombings and the killings and the mass shootings. I was very much aware of how certain organizations had penetrated the police department as well as gotten away with murder of Black folks during the civil rights era. My parents came up in the 50s and the 60s. So who I was prior to 2014, you wouldn't like that guy either. So, it's all about when you meet someone. You know what I'm saying? Because it was viewers that said, Tim Black, I know you hate politics. I know you don't trust any politicians, but check out this one old Jewish guy named Bernie Sanders. I think you're going to like what he's talking about. You be talking about healthcare, Tim Black, he's trying to fix that. He's talking about a jobs program. You think that's important? You keep talking about Marion Barry had a jobs program over there in D.C. I was like, for real? He's on that? He said, yeah. I said, I don't need no fly-by-night politicians. He said, nah, Tim, you've been talking about this stuff for 20, 30 years, man. And the Democrats hate him because he's probably the only real person trying to fight for the people. They don't like that shit. So he ain't even really a Democrat. He an independent. So I was like, damn, for real? It's like, yeah. I was like, I've never heard of this guy. And remember, this is me coming off of voting for Obama. Voting for somebody and caring about politics, two different things. Sometimes we vote because, that's the thing. You feel like, okay, I'm going to go vote. Because you get caught up in the thing or whatever and people saying you should vote. That don't mean you give a shit about politicians. That just means you're going to go and say you did it. So I did that in 2008. By 2012, I'm looking around like, what has Obama done for Black people? Not only did he not do anything for Black people, it was like an era of shunning Black people for wanting something done. So by the time 2014, anyway, my point is this, man. Everybody has their own influences, man. I'm sure all of you do too. We all individuals, and we all have our own opinions. Okay? But anybody's opinion better than nobody else's opinion. And if you find that the fact that I want this whole system shaken up, you find that disagreeable to you, if you find the fact that, I say, I don't care if they give it a Department of Education, ain't shit. What's the Department of Education ever done for my kids? What did it ever do for me? Do you realize the level that black kids in the inner city are reading on? You arrogant assholes. Do you realize that? I don't care if it's Trump's idea or if it's Bernie's idea. I don't care whose idea it is. It could be RFK Jr.'s idea. I don't give a shit about parties. None. Somebody want to change shit, I'm down for it. Because black people are on the bottom of the bottom. And anything that can fix that, I'm interested in trying. Anything different than what we've been doing is worth a shot to me. Now, that's just one black man's opinion. You got your own opinions. Feel free, have at it. But that's how I see it. You ain't got to agree with it. I'm not asking you to agree with it. What I'm asking you to do is respect it. Instead of acting like it's coming from a place of bullshittery. Just because you haven't moved your politics in 5, 6, 10 years, with all this shit we learned, you ain't changed politics yet? You ain't, nothing affected you? Them Shaft and Bernie twice didn't change your view? You still got hope in Democrats? Really? What does it take? I want to know, what's it going to take, man? Do you literally got to get struck by lightning 3 times to go, damn, well, maybe I should move? What is it really going to take? You know what? I don't got time to wait for it to take. I don't got time for you to get it. You know, all I can control is me. And all I'm saying, like, at some point, as an advocate for people, you would think, man, you know what? Democrats were supposed to be pushing for the people. They ain't pushing for the people. They're pushing for them damn corporations. Just like Republicans always did. Just like the Republicans always did. Both parties suck, Johnson. But some of us think the Democrats don't suck as much. I disagree. Republicans ain't never lied about what they're trying to get done for black people because Republicans ain't never say they're going to get shit done for black people. That's a reason in itself. I mean, really, conversation could be over with that. Dragging widowed black mothers and black mothers that lost kids in confrontation with cops on campaign trails to exploit the shit out of them. That could be it right there. The fact that we got black people looking past that like it ain't nothing, like it's no big deal. You know, we choose what to allow. Some of us have been in relationships with people, and if they raise their voice too loud too many times, you out the door. You're like, oh, I've seen this before, I'm gone. That's some people. That's how some people react. Some people have friendships with people. And if that person distances you, disrespects you in a way that's, you know, you just bounce. Not everybody sits around for abuse is what I'm saying. Not everyone gives you the benefit of doubt several times before they pull the plug. And all I'm saying is that's a personal decision. You know, but I'm a commentator. Right? This is what I do. I can't be like you and sit on the fucking fence. And I choose not to. And I know there's some, know what, I can't be like those people that do that. Because there's commentators that do that. I can't do it, man. I need to get my people out the burning house, which is the Democratic Party. I'm trying to do that by any means necessary. It needs to be done. We need to cut ties. 95% of black people voting for the same party needs to be over. I know I sound like a broke record, but the system is so jacked up, I got to repeat it every time. New people tune in all the time. These people thought I was playing when I said, F the Democrats. Nah, I was serious, dog. I was serious. I guess you thought I caught the flu. You thought my distaste for the Democrats was like a fleeting instant. Nah. Nah, it's a feature, not a bug. That ain't gonna change. So, nah. But yeah. Man, I like look, I understand sometimes things don't happen. Sometimes couples break up. Sometimes friendships end. And I'm very much aware. Sometimes you got to look back and say, you know what? Don't be glad it ended, be glad it happened. And that's how I feel. And if I'm too much to stomach, if you can't deal with it, kicketh rocketh. Go with God. Let's get into a couple things. Ironically, I got a couple clips I'd like to share with you to see how it goes. Let's do this. This is funny. This is a good one. Chris Hayes was on Bill Maher's show. And Chris Hayes was talking about, I forget what he was talking about. Let's go to Chris Hayes on Bill Maher. They have a conversation. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. And hit the like button, guys. If it's going pretty well already, I think it will. Let's see where we're at. Here we go. Get my banner up real quick. Then we're going to go to Chris Hayes on Bill Maher.
Sense patriotic pluralism. But I also think at the same time, there is a message of what I would call like common sense patriotic pluralism. Yeah. That is a majority message, which is like, if some father and mother have health care for their kid lined up who's trans, just stay the fuck out of their business. Let them make that decision. That's their decision to make. And you don't have to make that for your family. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your family.
But the argument is whether the child should make the decision.
But the child is never making the decision. The parents are always making the decision. Parents consent to medical care.
Well, here in California, you're allowed to hide it from the parents if the kid is.
Yes.
Thank you, one person who knows that.
But I mean,
somebody knows that is the case.
I think in the vast majority, and we've been hearing from parents right now whose kids' medical care has been interrupted. I think there's a way to talk about.
Well, of course, they would say it's not medical care. They would say it's
what they're saying.
Disfiguring a child.
I think they should mind their own business. I really do. I think they should mind their own business. And I think that's true about a lot of things. I think there is this sense in which there was this sort of backlash politics, some of which I understood, some of which people I know felt that way. I don't think what people wanted was for the women CIA agents at the CIA to be told that they can't get together once a month to like celebrate former women spies.
What the hell is going on, Johnson? The point he's going to make is, once upon a time it was okay to disagree with this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't want my tax dollars. I don't want to be paying for nobody's whatever changes or whatever. And, I got kids and what are you even talking about? I don't know.
I just don't, I think like fundamental parts of what we call in this country, the traditions of pluralism, which is what this country is. And pluralism is another word for diversity. If we're not going to use that one, let's use pluralism.
No, let's not use any of those words. And that was what was funny to me, pluralism. How is this going to be your party? The party of pluralism. He said, because we don't want to use the word diversity because people don't like it. It's got a negative connotation.
It's another word for diversity. If we're not going to use that one, let's use pluralism. That fundamentally there's a majority that understands that like we all come from different places. Yeah. And part of what makes...
There's a majority that understands that we all come from different places. Is that what it is, man? That's what the problem is? People are intolerant of people coming from other places? Or did some party and some people go way out the gym on requiring everybody else to change everything that they ever knew about themselves and about their core beliefs, how they saw the world, or be crucified? And if you didn't go as far as them, then you were a horrible person. Yeah, I think that's a big difference. I don't think we don't think other people should exist in the world, Chris. These liberal, progressive, whatever these people are, man, like labels, forget the labels. People that think like this. This is not what I've been around my entire life with working class people, maybe that and people a little bit higher and a little bit lower. I've never been around really the rich, affluent people. You know, I never really hobnobbed with roll with those people. You know what I'm saying? I met people that I knew who had money. They thought they had money, they really didn't. You know what I'm saying? I thought they had money, but what they had is money. A person with money would be like, for real, this is for real. That's a Chrysler 300, fool. That's a Chrysler 300. That ain't no Maybach. You know what I'm saying? I know brothers that own Chrysler 300s, not Maybachs. Somebody got an Escalade and it wasn't even brand new, and it was like, this is shit. So this type of language coming from these people, but I got black folks trying to pretend that this is what they rock with. Working class black folks acting like this guy is the voice of them and that these people speak for them. How could, no, he doesn't. And it's okay to say he doesn't. He's not smarter than you. He just uses a lot of words. At the end of the day, what he's saying is, we want to open up everything to everyone, and we want to change everything that you believe into something else. And if you're too slow on the come up, we want to ostracize you. That's what it is. And the diversity trick was they took what was black people historically getting the short end and the stick of the country and threw every other person that wasn't a white guy into that. And said everybody's afflicted, not just the blacks. Now, it should not take a rocket scientist to realize the people that did that did not give a damn about the black folks they did that to. If the whole point of the civil rights movement and the time after that was to give black people an opportunity to try to get in the game, how did it help putting everybody else in the game with us? Obviously, we catch less passes. Yeah, if you say you're our wide receiver, and then some other people complain, you say, well, everybody's a wide receiver, except you, Brad. You're still the thrower. You're still the quarterback. How many passes do I get? See how simple it is? See how basic you can boil this down? You got all these people talking, man. They talking and talking and talking and talking, but they not saying shit. They want to make it seem complex. It's not complex. They took your alcohol and added a whole lot of cut to it. And if you was hoping you get a buzz with all that cut they gave you, by the time you got it, it was 20 ounces. It went from being 3 ounces of straight vodka or 3 ounces of tequila. Then they add 17 ounces of cut to it. So everybody can have some. You buzzing? Can you feel this shit? Can you feel it when you hit it? But see, of course, there'll be people that can speak well and people that you like and people that are very influential. They can somehow make an argument the other way, and there'll be people that just because they like them will agree with it. But see, our interests and your interests or their interests aren't the same. My interest is the truth. Damn a job. Damn being able to run an organization and pick up money from the progressives and the liberals. That ain't the world in which I operate in. And what I'm trying to tell you is there's a lot of people that say a lot of shit because they have to keep themselves viable. I understand it. I don't co-sign it. This shit too serious. I don't agree with them. I think they bogus. And I think it's bogus not to tell the truth. And once again, the truth is very simple, guys. All this conversation, these guys like Chris Hayes. Chris Hayes is talking he's saying a bunch of words, and at the end of the day, all it means was it just wanted to dilute everything so that it would accommodate and help all these other folks. People that weren't even in America. People that weren't even a part of, fuck the civil rights movement, they weren't even a part of any struggle in America because they weren't in America. Came and benefited from what we did. And Obama slid them right on into our cut. Instead of people can't wrap their heads around it, they can't say it simply because they don't want to offend the people that like Obama. So a lot of black people will not say what's true because their audiences are full of a bunch of MSNBC controlled robots. They're controlled by MSNBC. They've been fooled by MSNBC and CNN and all these entities for so long. They've been listening to whatever black person talk, Al Sharpton or something, for so long. Maxine Waters, any of these, Elijah, whatever, any of these folks. And Clyburn, they're fooled by that shit. They believe that. They truly believe it. So we got black folks now that are afraid to tell the real truth. They won't speak honestly because it costs them too much. Well, you know what? I understand their point of view. I understand their dilemma. Sorry, not sorry. Time is short. We can't play around. We can't afford to play around with them. I want to see something. I was looking up this information, and I'm gonna give it to you real time because I ran a query and I forgot to get the query off the screen here. Let me see if I can find it. Where are my older conversations? These are so. Anyway, so I did a search and I was trying to find out how black folks were doing. Because I wanted to know how black children are doing in schools. Right? So bear with me for a second because I got a report back. This should be back. Let's see if it's back. Here we go. I'm looking at the achievement gaps in education, for instance. Okay, so, and I know this may be, I don't want to read to you, but I just want to tell you, man, that there is a significant amount of differences between groups as far as how we're doing in America. And white people, they got it bad. They've been upset. They've been complaining. I feel a little bad because there's been white people complaining about jobs going away, the Department of Education for 20, 30 years. And a lot of black people were fooled into thinking that was all BS. We were fooled in believing that those complaints came from a place of racism because that's all the Democratic Party does. It tells you everything is racism. Any of my people here who are former Democrats, you know it to be true. Every argument, no matter what it is, they diffuse every argument from anybody outside the Democratic Party with either attack on racism, saying they're racist, or they're misogynist. It's either they hate women or they hate black people. That's the go-to on no matter what it is. Somehow that's where it goes. Okay? And I feel a little bit bad about it because I fell for that for many years. I was not actively doing this at the time. You know what I'm saying? I was not, I had a whole career before I did this. I was in tech. And I was in other things before that. You know what I'm saying? It was a progression. But I'll say, when we look at the issues that are impacting black people, take education, take the difference between black kids in the inner city versus white kids or Asian kids in more middle-class environments, dog. The differences in the reading gaps. Only 11% of black students demonstrate proficiency in math. Right now, under the current setup, only 11% of black children demonstrate a proficiency in math compared to 75% of white students. There are similar patterns in reading. So I understand if you and I disagree about what Elon Musk is doing, what Trump is doing, what Doge is doing with the Department of Education. And I understand you are in your feelings. Fuck your feelings. I don't have time for your feelings. I don't care what Jasmine Crockett says. I don't care what Donna Bazile says. I don't care what Al Sharpton says. I don't care what Van Jones says. I don't care what Stephen A. Smith says. I don't care what any of these people say. If only 11% of black children are proficient in math and in similar horrible numbers, in reading, I don't care what happens to the system. Something needs to shake up about this system. It needs to be dismantled and rebuilt. You're not coming to me with any solutions to it. And if someone says they want to take a wrecking ball to it and it's got a lot of bloat in it and a lot of ineffective assholes running it, and if you tell me I should not allow a black family to get a voucher to get out of this shitty school system, to take their child to another school, you sound like a damn fool. Did you just hear what I said? 11%. So, that's just one area. I got a whole entire list, man, and I don't want to go any further with it because I don't want to turn this into a that type of show where I just, where I'm just citing shit, where I'm just going down the list. But I'm trying to tell you, the motivation for some people, man, if your motivation is to help fix that, if your motivation, the Tim Black Show is here to give America the bitter, raw truth it deserves. And I'm trying to break black people out of the burning house, which is the Democratic Party. I'm doing my job. Their job is to stay employed, make money, stay relevant, not get canceled. They got all these other jobs. I don't have all them other jobs. I put out 100 videos a month. Shit, more than that. I'm gonna be okay. I'm a worker. I'm putting out work. Some stuff gonna go viral, make enough money, and be all right. I don't need to go on nobody's platform. I don't need for the Democrats to give me a break, to throw me a bone. I don't need, see, we different. I only got one thing to be worried about. So yeah, let's keep going. I wanna give it up for that. Let's move on. Let's move on, Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna. And I feel you. I get you. I see another crying face emoji. Man, I know the rude wake-up call for the Chiefs, man. But it's all good. You got to the last dance. You made it to the last dance. And so somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. It's just embarrassing that it's by such a blowout. I mean, it was almost as big a blowout than the Democrats had against the Republicans, against Trump. Damn. It's bad, man. All right. So I was watching this clip. I saw this. Now, it's Adam Carolla versus Stephen A. Smith versus something. I don't know. It's something. Stephen A. Smith made some comments about DEI. One of my favorite topics these days, I like talking about it because to me, it's one of those topics that shows you what people on. And it defines my audience. It defines who I'm talking to. Because if you're a person that's okay with believing in fairy tales, if fairy tales are better for you than truth, then you're not my type of, we're not for each other. We're not cut from the same cloth. You know what I'm saying? We're not made for each other. We got irreconcilable differences. Okay? DI was not built for black people, wasn't made for black people, it wasn't implemented for black people. Diversity means multiple things, multiple people, obviously. That's what makes it diverse. Diverse does not equal black and white. There's so many other people in the country, this is bullshit. They keep saying Trump meant diverse, he making a diversity, DEI higher. They said he blamed DEI on the plane crash in D.C. I was like, well, there weren't no black people in that plane. What you talking about? Weren't no black people flying that? Weren't any black people flying that helicopter? The Hawk that crashed into the airliner. Rest in peace to all the people that lost their lives. So what are you even talking about? But it don't even make sense. It's like, you sure he meant color when he said that? He meant race? You sure? They don't see that DEI could also mean orientation. It could also mean woman. It could mean other things. They know diversity means other things, but their brain short circuits because the programming of the Democratic Party has repeatedly told them any criticism coming out the mouth, particularly of Trump or anybody Republican, it means they hate black people. No matter what it is. It doesn't matter. You know? So the rest of the country's in this argument too, and I like this argument because it gives me a chance to disagree with the right and the left, or Republicans and Democrats at the same damn time. Because in this video, I'm going to disagree with both sides at different points for solid reasons. Let's go.
10 minutes ago, you had Joe Biden, who doesn't give a shit about black people and or women. The guy's never even met his biological granddaughter.
Okay, let me stop him right here. So far he's right as hell. Right? Start out to get the guys on point. Okay? He's absolutely right. I can't understand the black people. Now I understand if you work as a Democrat, you know, if your job is somehow connected to the Democratic Party, I get it. You know, what I look like coming to your house, knocking the food out your child's mouth. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're supposed to two-piece me and throw me out. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't, you know, how dare I try to do that? Okay, so I get it for those who are Democratic operatives. I get why you would defend Joe Biden as if he was a black man. You know, like he loved black people. I'm not saying I agree with you. I'm not saying I cheer you on. I'm saying I understand it. I might still roast your ass. But Jasmine Crockett and Ilhan Omar and AOC and Michael Moore, when he came on the show, has to work with Democrats all the time. Like these people, I get why they would say that. Why they would pretend Joe Biden cares about black people and women. But if you don't work for Joe Biden, if you are not connected to the Democratic Party, if it does not put food in your mouth, clothes on your back, a shelter overhead for you and your family, how dumb can you be not to see through the nonsense? I mean, you really believe that Joe Biden cares about black people. So Adam Carolla, now one of my favorite people. I still got residual resentment about this guy because a lot of shit he said over the years, I heard him saying, I'm about to go back and listen again with clear ears. But it always seemed like any hot wire issue, he'd jump on it to get play into the racial feuding, any type of feuding, he'd be in the middle of it. Trying to get brownie points, trying to get digs in on black people. Yeah, he's one of the people that talks about culture, black culture, you know, and that leaves out poverty, leaves out discrimination. When was the last time Adam Carolla, his people was part of a class action lawsuit because he was getting denied work? But he don't put any of that in. He just says things like culture, like it's an innate problem. But here, he's right. You ain't got to be right about everything. You can be right about one thing, and I'll be like, okay, that one thing.
You had Joe Biden, who doesn't give a shit about black people and or women. The guy's never even met his biological granddaughter, for fuck's sake. You think he cares about women? He doesn't give a shit about black people or women. He decided that he needed a black female vice president. You then took someone who's incompetent and put her into that position. And then when the old man that you lied about ended up having dementia, he fell off. And then you guys were stuck with an incompetent black woman.
Incompetent? Nah, you know what, man? I'm going to push back a little bit. I'm going to say she was credentialed. Kamala Harris is very much credentialed. He says she's incompetent. She ain't incompetent. She's as incompetent as Amy Klobuchar, right? She's as incompetent as Pete Buttigieg. She's more competent than Pete. Doesn't mean she's a good politician. She's not a good politician, bro. That's the difference. See, when you talk about competence, Nah, she got elected a couple times. That's all it requires. To be a politician, you get elected. If you somehow manage that, you are competently able to get into office. How good are you at your job? How good a debater is she? How good of a public speaker is she? How good, there's other things, right? But saying she's incompetent as if having a law degree, as being attorney general, as being a senator, you can't just say she's incompetent. See what I'm saying? They go too far. They go too far. They say shit I can't co-sign. I say she was a horrible politician. She was one of the worst candidates. But I don't think Al Gore was a particularly strong vice president. I don't know. I don't think, who was that other guy? Yeah, I don't think, what's his name? The Universal Soldier who worked for Trump. Mr. Plastic Man who's afraid of women, can't be in a room with a woman. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I don't remember his name now. Not Tim Conway, that was Kamala's guy. No, I'm talking about what's the guy's name? The guy from Trump's guy? They were they bought a gallows to hang him from. What's his name? Somebody knows his name. We just got rid of him. You know his name? Pence, there you go. I don't think Pence was competent, but what does competence mean? Define competence. See, this is what I don't like about the right. It seems racist because he's leaving out the fact Mike Pence was shit. Why are you jumping over Mike Pence being garbage? Well, Tim, is that a part of the conversation? Well, he doesn't have a black audience, so he feels like he doesn't need to even pause to say, hey, yeah, she's some shit. So is Mike Pence. Yeah, I got a feeling. There are a lot of assistant people that are supposed to be there just in case are not as good as a starter. Now, if all she had to do was to stand around as vice president and not do shit, she'd be fine. If you keep her away from the cameras, stop, no press conferences, she'd be fine. The problem was she got to talking. The problem is they let her run for office. That's the problem. That's the problem. And then it exposed how unprepared she was. Unprepared. It exposed how much she was unprepared, how much she was not a primetime politician. You could be a comedian. You could be funny. That don't mean you got a half an hour worth of silent material. You can tell jokes for a living. There's a difference between being a comedian who can do a little skit on TikTok and being a comedian that can go in front of 100, 200, 300 people and do 20 minutes. You may be competent as a TikTok star who does funny videos, but then be incompetent when it's time to be a 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute set and make people laugh every 30 seconds. Huh? But Adam knows that. See, that's the problem. I know he knows this. Okay? Particularly my analogy because he's a comedian. I know he knows this. Let's keep going. This is why I say I'm going to be disagreeing.
And you couldn't get rid of her because you can't get rid of a woman of color and replace him with a heterosexual white male. So then she ran for president. Nobody fucking liked her, and she lost the election. So keep going, retards.
Adam, welcome. Great to see you.
Yeah, you couldn't get rid of her because the only reason why he got elected, is because he put a woman in. He put a black woman in. If Joe Biden never would have got Kamala Harris to be his running mate, he never would have became president. Do you understand that? Okay? That's what got him elected. Is Kamala Harris with black women wanting to see a black woman as a vice president. So he really didn't have a choice. And then he stuck it. He might not even wanted her. And maybe that's why he stuck the Democrats with having to take her as the nominee. Because Obama and Nancy Pelosi were not interested. Obama dragged his feet forever to come out and endorse her. Biden endorsed her himself. Nancy Pelosi wanted a runoff, and I'm sure so did Obama. So Adam Carolla don't know what the hell he's talking about. But okay, let's keep going.
This is the first time I've seen you since DEI died. So I know you're not going to the funeral, but you're celebrating it. Your thoughts about the pushback from some in the media?
Yeah, that was kind of sad because I normally like Stephen A. and he sounded like an ass.
And we can't ignore that.
Those 20 jobs would not go to white people. They go to Asian people.
Okay.
Hold on. Adam Carolla called her a DEI hire. I'm sorry, guys.
Actual white male. So then she ran for president. Nobody fucking liked her and she lost the election. So keep going, retards.
Adam, welcome. Great to see you.
You can't get rid of a woman of color and replace him with a heterosexual white male. So then she ran for president. Nobody fucking liked her and she lost the election. So
Okay. I'll let that slide. Yeah. She lost the election and nobody really liked her. Yeah, I say a lot of people didn't like her. I ain't gonna say nobody, but a lot of people didn't like her. Some people did like her. I think she did better than Biden would have done. But that ain't saying nothing. They still would have lost the House and the Senate.
I died. So I know you're not going to the funeral, but you're celebrating it. Your thoughts about the pushback from some in the media?
yeah, that was kind of sad because I normally like Stephen A. and he sounded like an ass.
And we can't ignore that.
Those 20 jobs would not go to white people. They go to Asian people.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Just not blacks.
well, I really, I mean, this is
And
one of the most...
Asian Americans wouldn't even
this
be
is-
in this country if it weren't for the civil rights movement and the African American
but
community.
but we're talking...
Well, if you're going to bring that up, bring up the fact that whether it's affirmative action or DEI, the biggest beneficiaries of both programs were white women.
I know,
Let's not forget that.
When he just said that,
Yeah, I guess you got to give them credit there. That's true. That's true. And not just Asians. Nobody would be here. We all say the civil rights movement is what opened the doors. Shortly after that, that's when they changed the immigration practices in this country, sort of opened up the floodgates from 20,000 a year to much more. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people would have been immigrating into a country if it was still segregated and if they could not get jobs, if you could actively discriminate. Obvious discrimination. You can still discriminate now. You can get sued for it. That's why I get it. Like, some people be talking. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, something's against the law. Discrimination's against the law. We all know it's against the law. So is driving drunk. But some of my right wingers act like because something's against the law means it doesn't get done. Yeah? There's no shortage of drunk driving assholes and accidents that occur, right? It's against the law too. So unless you sue them, and unlike drunk driving, people run into stuff. A lot of times they run into stuff before they hit people. They'll run into a tree, they'll run into an embankment, they'll wreck the car, they'll be driving too fast, get pulled over, get a ticket. It doesn't always end in injury or death. But the thing about discrimination is you got to file a lawsuit. You got to have a means to file a lawsuit. You got to have a case that somebody is willing to take so that you can take up a case to get a lawsuit against an employer in order to bring this to justice. So there are people that make assertions about how far we've come in this country based on nothing. Based on the fact that they're not going through it and they don't really give a shit. Right? It's against the law to do any number of things are against the law in America that are detrimental to others. They still get done. And if you don't get caught, there is no punishment. Right? Okay. I just finished studying about a staffing agency called MVP that had I don't know, that was operating in 38 states, that had over 20,000 employees, that was discriminated against Black people. And a lawsuit was taken like in 2014. It just got settled last April because they were hiring undocumented Mexicans for their staffing agency, wouldn't hire Black people. The case was finally resolved. They had to pay $11 million. It took more than 10 years. So they say that the wheels of justice turn slow. Yeah, that's true. Let's keep going.
But he's probably just race hustling. I don't think he really means it. I don't think most of these people really mean it.
Because when you handle it the way that the Trump administration is handling,
yeah, you can tell Stephen A. Smith is starting to make noise, man, because Adam Carolla just called Stephen A. Smith a race hustler. And Stephen A. he ain't a race hustler. He's an opportunist. Maybe that's the same thing, but I see it a little bit different. Let's see what he's talking about.
it. We want the most qualified. We want the smartest. We want this. We want that. What you're really saying is we want white dominance again. That's what you're really saying. You want white dominance. Because if you're pointing to DEI, and that's usually pointed towards quote unquote unqualified minorities, because you're always using the word qualified, as if everybody that got a position through DEI is not qualified. We know what you're implying. We know what you're insinuating.
Yeah, that's the running thing. I get what Carolla's trying to say, and I get what Stephen's saying, and I'm so tired of Stephen's argument. I've been hearing this argument from everybody. DEI doesn't mean Black. So how can they be saying it means unqualified? You think they say the Asians are unqualified? You know the stereotypes about Asians. They're smarter than white people. So is that what you're trying to say? So how could DEI mean one thing if it's including 8 different groups? I just don't get the argument. It's so pathetic that people don't want to say it. Okay. DEI. Most of the DEI stuff that I've been hearing lately has to do with LGBTQIA. Has to do with all the trans shit. It works so well for the Republicans, they want to keep on hammering it because it worked well for them. It benefited them. Part of the reason why Trump won the election was hammering them on trans bathrooms and men playing women's sports, biological men playing in women's sports. That's part of what got him in the office. Was this common sense like, yo, you should not be playing against a biological woman if you're a biological man. It's just unfair. And the fact that there were people arguing this, the fact that there were people arguing like grown-ass people, you say, what's a woman? They couldn't define a woman as a person with a uterus who came out of her mother's uterus with certain whatever. Well, what about people that were born? Yeah, okay. You know what I mean. They couldn't even define that. They were that scared of the lynch mob coming for their ass. They couldn't just say, anatomy, biological anatomy. Because that would mean their careers are gone. It's not because they wanted to be funky with it. It wasn't because they wanted to slip the jab. They didn't want to sweep the knee. Even Ketanji Brown Jackson was unwilling to go across the line and saying what was obvious. She is a woman who came out of her mother's uterus. And she wouldn't say what a woman is. She's like, I don't know what you mean. She sounded like Bernie when they say, Bernie, what's reparations? How you feel about reparations? And he's like, I don't know what reparations is. I don't know what I'm saying. What are you talking about when you say reparations? What you gave the Jews? Oh, I don't know what that is. What'd you give them? Matzo balls? What'd you give them? And see, that's part of the problem. So I don't agree with Stephen A. here, man. I don't believe that DEI means they think Black people are unqualified. You got a few goofies on Twitter and online on different websites, social media sites, who will say anything to get a rise out of anyone. And if you interact with that activity, if you interact with that type of content, you'll get more of it. And you'll think the whole world is walking around saying DEI. To this day, I'm sure if I went to a barbershop, if I went to a nightclub, I went out hanging out, I don't got time to do it. There would be people that be trying to figure out what DEI is. What is DEI? They'd be like, and then they'll repeat something Stephen A says, or something they heard on MSNBC or CNN. They won't really know. They'll just assume it's what they've been hearing, which is black, because that's what a bunch of CNN and MSNBCs and all these other talking heads have been saying. When you boil it all the way down, you're saying white people are racist. And as I pointed out earlier, when you say white people are racist, the Democratic Party have programmed black people to see everything done by Republicans and white folks as racist. For some reason, they never see themselves as racist. For some reason, all of the white people that are in the Democratic Party are never seen as racist, even when they say things like, Obama's the first clean black American who ever ran for office. Even though he said that, he's not racist. I don't want my kids going to no concrete jungle school. Even though he said that, he is not racist because he's Democrat. But anybody else who would have said it, you'd be like, that racist piece of shit, but since it's him. So this is the programming of the Democratic Party. And in order to get out of the burning house, which is the Democratic Party, people got to leave that mindset alone. They got to be willing to be critical of Republicans, be critical of all things without automatically, instantly going to that one thing, because that has been implanted in your head for everything. Even though you're going to see it on comment sections, even though you're going to see it on Twitter, X, and social media, you got to stop being triggered by it because it's bullshit. DEI, the initiatives that were implemented under Obama, was the first president to initiate DEI practices. And according to Ashley Allison on CNN, who was a commentator who worked for Obama, it didn't even help her ass, and she was right there. And she's a black woman, and she was still underpaid compared to everybody else in the office. And she got like 4 degrees. She inadvertently said this when she was ranting about something else the other day. So the point is, those policies were implemented under Obama. And if DEI was so helpful, we'd all be doing great, but we're not. Anyway, back to Stephen A. Yeah, Stephen A is a guy who wants to perform well in the media game, in the politics. But then he jumps out there on like, he tries to call it straight, then he has to jump back and play identity type politics and succumb to the DNC crew before they cancel his ass. And he keeps doing that. He did it with Kamala. He spent 6 months saying Kamala was shit just to vote for her. And then blame her for voting for her, saying he regrets his vote. He a grown-ass man, 50-something years old, talking about he regrets his vote. Now, you did that because you wanted to. You were publicly shitting on her for months. But the heat got hot. It got hot. And he ain't for the heat. He backed up off it and reversed course. And then once the heat died down, he proceeded to start hitting the Democrats all over again. And then when this issue came up, he had to make a choice. Is he going to fall in line with the D.L. Hughley's? Or is he going to let them chew his ass? So now he falls in line with D.L. Hughley and Jemele Hill and all these other talking heads in the black DNC Democrat MSNBC crowd. So now the whites on the right are coming for his ass, like Adam Carolla. They forget what he said 2 weeks ago that they agree with. Now they talk about he a race hustler. For one issue. That's why I never try to play the game where I'm trying to do anything to get in with anybody. I just say what I feel, and that's what it is, and I keep it moving because they love you today, hate you tomorrow. Do you think any of those people are going to give him any type of grace just because he said that about DEI, that he feels that means black, and that you think black people ain't qualified? DEI also includes veterans of all colors. DEI also includes LGBTQIA of all colors. It includes disabled people of all colors. He ain't talking about none of that right now.
And you got folks in the administration and Pete Hegseth. Oh my God. The nerve of him to just join into the fray and give his quote about making sure qualified people have these jobs. You're the defense secretary, whose only job prior to this was as a weekend host on Fox News.
I think they're trying to keep the race hustle going, and it's basically gone, and they're still working on it. I don't know why the Democrats like DEI. They just got burned by Kamala Harris. She was the ultimate DEI hire, and they just got screwed by her because she's an idiot and she's unqualified. So why, of all groups, would the Democrats...
Yeah. You know, originally, I did agree with this originally. I did think, not with him, but with the statement that she was a DEI hire. Because she's a woman and she's black and she's Indian and she's all these, you know what I'm saying? And we know she's not black. Please don't answer that. I know that, man. People don't care. You know, they don't care that she's Jamaican. They don't care. That her daddy's Jamaican. They don't care, man. She went to a HBCU. That means she's black. So did Rachel Dolezal. Anyway, the thing is this. I used to say, well, yeah, maybe she is a DEI hire. Then I thought about it. Nah, she's not. She was a political move. Purely political. Purely from a political standpoint to save Joe Biden's opportunity. That's what it was. He needed her. He needed somebody of color. He needed a black woman. Not somebody of color. He needed a black woman. That's what he needed. He needed a black woman to make a first. That's what he needed. Or he never would have got elected. And an attorney general and a senator, those are pretty good damn credentials, Adam Carolla. The fact she was untalented, unable to seize the moment, unable to rise to the moment, unprepared on conversations of foreign policy, domestic policy, like to be believable. Like in a lot of shit she was talking, people just didn't believe that she actually had command of the issues, nor did she have a vision that she laid out ahead of time, nor did she have enough time to get her weight up, to get her speed up. It just exploded. It folded. But we already knew that. Looked at her in 2019. You know, was anybody really surprised she didn't do well? I mean, she failed in 2019. Her failing in 2024 should not have been a shock if you paid any attention. I wasn't shocked she didn't do well. She didn't do well before. She had to drop out and she was going to lose California in 2019. Who was fooled by that? Tulsi Gabbard took her out with like a few lines and she was donezo. She didn't have nothing. She stood there flat-footed in real time. That was a career ender, in my opinion. That looked like a career ender to me. She was only resurrected. Did she hit Biden? Anyway, I don't want to go back to the past. Who cares, Tim? But yeah, I pushed back on the DEI hire for Kamala because, hey man, if a senator, a former senator, a former attorney general, a former prosecutor, if that person is not qualified to be a vice president, Trump's president. I mean, come on. We know this is not about qualifications. But all jobs aren't that way. Some jobs, you can have soft skills. You can be charismatic. You can be interesting. You can have a way with words. Some of us know this. You know, you can be a good salesman and not have any degrees and be a better salesman than a person with 4 degrees. You know what I'm saying? Because you are good at making people comfortable. You know the art of selling. You understand how to make people feel comfortable and be reassuring and all these things and be empathetic. And you don't go for the corny, salesman-y, heavy-handed approach and all this other nonsense. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're actually a good salesman, you know. What's the credential? Being able to be a good salesman. That's the credential. There are a number of jobs that are like that where it's like, what's your credential? Credential is being good. Trump won. That's his credential. Does that mean that, I don't know, Mark Cuban can be president? Anybody can be president that can win. Anybody can be vice president that the president picks. And whether you are good enough depends on if that one person thinks you are. That's what makes you good enough. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. You know, people say that all the time. Somebody might think that you picked the wrong person to marry. But you get to pick. And if that's who you chose, then they were the right person that you chose. That's who you chose. Other people don't get to tell you, was that person qualified to be your wife? Did you wait long enough to choose her? Did she cook enough? Or did she clean enough? Or did she have a good job? Or did she have the proper education? Did her family come from the right side of the tracks? Or did she have tracks in her head? Or did she have her real hair in her head? Like, whatever. Whatever your criteria is what's the acceptable criteria. Same thing goes for vice presidents. Same thing goes for appointees to your cabinet. So this is kind of a dumb, goofy, like argument. And I'm seeing both sides make it. Republicans can't defend it, but love saying DEI and relying on that all day. And Democrats hit on what the heck, Seth, but they don't want to talk about all the stinkers that Obama appointed, who I can't even name. Some of those people suck. That's why we don't even talk about them. Okay.
Be championing DEI when Kamala Harris just screwed them.
I don't want to hear DEI automatically being about people who happen to be minorities that are unqualified. That is what I was saying. I said it's one thing to get rid of it altogether. It's another thing entirely to articulate and verbalize the position that, excuse me, you know what, everybody that was associated with DEI are unqualified individuals. We don't want unqualified individuals, particularly in public safety. I'm saying that's how people are coming across. That's how people, of course we agree on it. Of course we agree on it. But when you have somebody like Hegseth, well, for example, let's use him because he was speaking about your former colleague at Fox News. Hold on. That's not a defense secretary. Excuse me. Listen, listen, I'm not bringing up anything personal. I'm simply saying, my God, Sean, when you're talking about people who are unqualified, I wish him nothing but the best.
He's going to say the same thing all over again. Hey, man, who's talking about DEI in the place of people? I hate people of color. Anybody that's not a white guy. That's what you're talking about? Damn. I don't think there's anything else here, man.
And now you're the defense secretary.
You're saying the exact same thing. So Stephen A's got talking points. This is the second video. He's saying the exact same thing. So did Carolla.
How do we give a real soldier an opportunity? All right, I got another.
Okay, that's fair.
Right, one thing I'm not qualified for.
But say that.
I just said it. All right, the last thing.
Let's leave it there. Yeah, say that. Yo, you know what it is? I think it is. I think that we have people that don't want to say the real shit. They don't want to be honest. America got tired of how fast America was moving towards all of the LGBTQIA stuff. They got tired of that. They got upset. You know, I mean, America's had to deal with black people's with roots. America's been having to deal with roots and the issues with black people the entire time. You know, this has not been a new conversation with us. And just with white people, we're starting to be like, okay, we got black Americans, we kind of did them wrong. We kind of didn't do right by them. Should have enslaved them for 3 years. You know, it shouldn't have lynched them and Jim Crowed them for 100 years. Mass incarceration was cold-blooded. Yeah, that's probably wasn't right. it probably wasn't the best way to go to make this, form a more perfect union. Guess you're right about that, This is wrong what we did. Shouldn't have done that to them. We was egging their, throwing eggs at them at the buses, running them and splashing them when they're standing at the bus stop. Probably should have did that to black people. Probably should have, did a number of things we did to black people, It probably shouldn't have been so racist. That's what I would say. I would say we were racist. Probably should have been that way. As soon as white people were doing that, Democrats said, oh, shit. Oh, what are we going to run on? Oh, look, a man in a dress. Come here. This'll shake up the rednecks. Get in there, redneck. Get in there. What's your name? Billy. Bethany. Get in there, Bethany. It just mushed it all up. And the white guy's like, what the hell is this? What's going on? You're like, you gotta love her too. Her. You gotta love her too. And that's what they did. And it started, and then they grouped this all. They grouped everything together. And you know what you gotta listen to? You gotta listen to men and women reading books to kids. Come on, guys. People are not willing to say this shit. But I'm telling you, it's diabolical what the Democrats did. As soon as black Americans were on the verge of, look at it. Oh shit, I'm on to something. When Obama got elected, we had an opportunity. We had an opportunity where black people and white people could move to a different level. They could move forward sort of on these issues, right? That's what it was. We was right there. And in that time, what did Obama do as soon as he got elected? He confused the issue. He wanted to get more diverse. He wanted to bring in, we need to bring in all these people. We need to do the Dreamers, and we need to bring in the LGBTQIA, we need to approve gay marriage, we need to do all these other things. And we were just on the cusp of black America, white America, trying to get our shit together. I believe it was structured. I believe it was intentional. I do not believe in coincidences. That was the person who ushered in all that title, all those issues, all those changes. That's Obama. What are those Title VII, Title IX? He ushered in all these changes to flatten all these groups and wrap them all together, and to use blackness as the cover for all of it. And I think they had to do it. If they didn't do it, black America, white America, the two major groups in America at the time, they had to do it, or the hustle was over. The hustle would have been dead. If they didn't do that, the hustle would have been dead. The fear was that black people and white people would somehow find a way to get to some type of common ground. It was like, remember, we had paid all these dues. All this time had gone by. It was easy for the Roland Martins to jump out and say, Blacklash. It did all this because of black people. That wasn't the only reason. It wasn't the only reason. Only a fool believes that's the only reason that their race relations tanked. It tanked because they amped up everything. The Democrats started amping everything up. They started amping up all they could. Every issue, everything, and they framed everything as race-related, right? And that gave Democrats more to run on. Because they're never going to win the white vote. Democrats never win the white vote. They don't even think they're going to win the white vote. The only vote they could win, the only way that Democrats ever get office is through black people and Latinos. So if you don't make them like victims of those people, they got nothing to run on. How can they run? Democrats are fighting for their own survival and trying to pave the way for their corporate interests to satisfy those corporations that want cheap labor. Yeah, the capitalistic side of the game got to be able to fuel the machine, got to be able to hire the undocumented, got to keep that going, got to fill up the prisons. Black people starting to complain too much. We got some new people that will come work for half as much and work twice as hard and do it with a smile and send half their paycheck home. Ooh, this is perfect. And that's what I believe happened. And it was a half black, well, half African, half white president who did it. And I believe it was intentional. It was not an accident. I believe it was a diabolical scheme to help Democrats stay viable. Because every election they lose the white vote. And if black people and Latinos and Asians stop feeling like they are the subject of racism, they stop feeling that. If they begin to feel less intimidated or less worried about race, they start feeling like they get an equal shot in any such way, and that they no longer have to fear white guys in power, even though the Democrats full of white people, so that's what's screwy about it. Then they'll never win another election. So they have to scare the shit out of the blacks. Now they got to scare the hell out of Latinos and Hispanic folks with deportation. But a strange thing happened in 2024. Yeah. 20% of black men voted for Trump. More than has ever happened before. Unprecedented number, bigger number than ever. He's still, Biden, Kamala was still able to retain 93% of black women. But black men, like 80% of black men was gone. Well, 80% of black men still reported to duty. But always keep in mind that there are a number of people that don't vote. So at least half of America doesn't vote. I can only assume that runs about the same along the lines of different races. So I'm assuming at least 40% of black Americans don't vote. That can vote. So yeah, it's gotten crazy. And look, I don't put it past the Democrats. I don't think anybody should put it past them. I don't think they've earned the right to not be looked at with a side eye, that we should ever take our eye off them, that we should ever trust them, because they're diabolical. They'll do what's necessary in order to say any animal will do what it needs to do to stay alive. Well, it's gonna go down without a fight. So yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, the Democratic Party's always used black people as fodder. And what's sad about it is there are black people that don't understand it. They don't see it that way. They think they're the saviors. Nah, they're what you need to be saved from. I wrote something down. Something I wanted to say. Here it is. No more Democrats. I got a new rule for 2025, y'all. Here's the new rule for 2025. No more Democrats calling out racism. No more. Democrats can no longer call out racism. You can't cry racism anymore. That ship has sailed. It's over. Democrats have been able to say that, make that call out for the past 60, 70 years. It's over. Now, the only thing we should listen to, Democrats say, is money, jobs, credit, land, opportunity. That's it. That's all. I don't even want to hear them say education. I want you to say money, jobs, land, opportunity. That's what they need to be fighting for. Because every time I hear Jasmine Crockett, every time I hear Joanne Reed on the rants, whenever I hear several people, several of them complaining, pushing back, whenever Van Jones start crying, he ain't crying about our pockets. He's not crying about our lack of wealth. Shout out to Dr. Sandy Dirty. They're not crying about where we are stuck. He's not crying about the fact that only 11% of our children, only 11% of black children are operating on their math level. Nearly the same thing goes for reading. They're not crying about that. They're not upset about that. They're talking about somebody said something that was racist and white supremacist. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna need us to focus on the money. Yeah, we ain't gonna never fix what people what Billy Bob may be thinking. And I don't much give a shit what Billy Bob be thinking. I'm like from the Denzel Washington. Olivia. Damn. Not Octave. I always get it wrong. What's that sister's name, man? From Fences. I always get it wrong. I'm from the Denzel Washington. No, the movie Fence, the show, the play Fences. It starts with an O. Damn it, no one knows. Anyway, Denzel Washington had a famous line and he says, I don't care if the Viola Davis, that's it. Charlotte Phillips, she cooks and roasts. I got two people. She cooks and roasts. I wish I could put you both at the same time. Charlotte, thank you. In Fences, it was a great line that they said, that Denzel Washington said. He says, I don't care. I don't care if Mr. Phillips give me my money because he like me. He give my money because he owe me. Don't you run through life worried about somebody like you or not. You just make sure they're doing right by you. And that's the problem. See, we get emotional when Joy Reid's talking about the white supremacy. We get emotional when Jasmine Crockett is calling out these racist white men. And the more offensive she is to white guys, the better we feel. Yeah, get her, Jasmine Crockett. Meanwhile, 11%. Just keep in your mind, 11% of black kids can't do their math right or their reading right to the level that they should be able to do. Only 11% of them can. Only 11% are as proficient as they need to be in those two disciplines. And this is what we want to argue about. If somebody says something that they should have said that time when they was talking, or if they mean this, if they say DI what they mean, at the end of the day, and you know, it's a fool's errand. You know what a fool's errand is, right? That's when you're doing something only a fool would do. When you're going through something, an errand is something you can run, like going to the bank, like going to pick up some boxes and moving them over there. A fool's errand is, you ain't had no reason to do that at all. It was a pointless vocation. It was a pointless action. But you had to exert energy to do it. But at the end of the day, what you did had no point. It didn't achieve anything. So what they're on, they're not on a fool's errand. They are on distract you because they don't think you smart enough to do what I'm saying right now, which is keep your eye on the money. Keep your eye on the money. Keep your eye on the land. Keep your eye on the investment and the credit. Keep your eye on the opportunities. And see, what are we talking about? Are we talking about feelings? We talking about how you feel about Marjorie Taylor Greene? Really? Ain't nobody in Texas sent Jasmine Crockett to Congress to talk about Marjorie Taylor's body shape. Nobody did. I know she made a lot of money for a campaign from it. Because a lot of black people felt good. They're living through her, talking shit to a white lady. Ooh. And I know Roland couldn't stop making money off. Ooh, we gonna talk about what Jasmine Crockett did today. She roasted those white men on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, our kids can't read. Meanwhile, we bottom last. We lose the ground to even new undocumented people coming to the country. We got Hispanics that came in 20 years ago beating us in credit scores, in home loans, in new business startups. Black women have started a lot of businesses. Yeah. Wealth. They got less unemployment, more of us are unemployed. So these are issues. These are the real issues. But you won't catch Van Jones crying about this. I mean, I should be crying right now talking about this. Van Jones won't cry about our babies. He won't cry about, the real shit. But if Biden, that real good man, can't serve another term, and they did him so wrong too, when they had him step down. They made him step. Oh, they made him step. That lip get to quivering and shit. They made him step down. They made him step down. And he was such a good man. He's a good man. Joe Biden's a good man. Gave me my first job. Holding back white women's hairs where they threw up before they got into his limo. So they wouldn't throw up on them or throw up on their hair. Yep. So it's the game inside the game. I'm like, look, guys, I'm not saying white Americans don't have their own concerns. They don't have their issues to be concerned about. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Asians, Latinos, everybody should be angry about what's going on in this country. But I'm saying the difference is I'm talking about the people that are on the bottom of it. You understand what I'm saying? If Asians are mad, we should be jumping mad. If white folks is mad, we should be ballistic. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Because we're on the bottom of the bottom. And our so-called faces, black faces in high places, are getting us to focus on shit that don't have nothing to do with getting us off the bottom. They want us to clap for them getting jobs. What that dumbass Jamie Harrison say? You should vote for Biden and Kamala because look at me. They gave me a job. Boy, if I could have punched him in his stomach. Man, if I could have just reached through the teeth, boy, if I reached through my monitor, bow, punched him right in his stomach. Couple times, bow. Just for saying something that stupid. And for the people that were there who clapped, mofo, we ain't here to be your school guidance counselor. We're not here to be your job placement assistants. You supposed to be working for us, goofy. We ain't here to elect somebody because they gave your dumb ass a job. But I had a single mom, and my single mom, she couldn't believe that I was able to come from this. Well, you know what? I wonder what you did to get there. You and Cory Booker. I wonder what y'all did. See, everybody talks about Byron Donalds. They talk about Tim Scott. I got a couple weird-ass trolls because I'm not a Democrat. They say Tim Scott. Tim Scott and the other Tim Scott. Call me Tim Scott. Because they can't wrap their head around somebody who can't stand Biden. They can't. And they love to say that Republicans have sold their souls. What did Jamie Harrison say? What did Maxine Waters say? You think the Maxine Waters is out in front of that fucking Treasury and Department of Education is the same Maxine Waters who was calling out cop killers, the vicious LAPD back in the 80s? You think that's the same person? Do you really think that's the same person? I know it's not. And I know she's 86 now. But that ain't the same person. You think the Clyburn that's, I know Joe, and Joe knows that. You think that's the same Joe that was riding on the Freedom trains, that was riding on those buses, them Freedom buses, trying to register black people when black people get kicked in the ass trying to vote, when black people end up lynched, back when Fannie Mae was getting beat in a cell, held down and beat by 3 or 4 black men under the order of white guards who just didn't want to scar up their knuckles hitting her? Huh? You think that's the same Clyburn, or you think it's a different Clyburn? What I'm trying to say, man, is we have a group of people that have, their whole job is to mislead us. So when we say Republicans are selling us out, what are Democrats selling themselves out of? How did they get those jobs? Jamie Harrison, why did they hire you? Why did a young black man with nothing, with no network, no friends, no in connections, no real charisma, no real speaking ability? How did you get this job? How did you become DNC chair? How did you get that slot in South Carolina? What did you do to get it? You wear some high heels and some stilettos with some fishnets? What did you do? Like Bill Duke said to me, man, said, these people be trying to get me to put on high heels and stilettos for these jobs. He said, man, I don't look good in fishnets and high heels. I need to go check my archive with actor, director, author Bill Duke, the real Bill Duke, because he say real shit. But what I'm saying, what did Jamie Harrison do? He made a good point. He was totally unqualified, should not have got those jobs. What was he willing to do? A person like that, what are they willing to do to get that job? What are they willing to do to ascend? You get what I'm saying? What was on the auction block? What was he offering? Us. And they continue to offer us. They continue to offer up black people. And go in front of 1,000 black people and say, you should vote for Joe Kamala because the Democratic Party been good to me. Look what it did. It gave me a job. Me, from a single black mother family with no connections, I was able to do this. Oh, mammy. And then other black people clap for it. That's the hard part. They clap for it because they don't see through it. And it's a pathetic shame. And when you're on the bottom of the bottom, you can't afford to allow that to happen. I don't think you can allow it to happen at all. But at least if we can mitigate it, if you can say, okay, but you know what though, we doing good though. You know, we're gonna always have Jamie Harris's and Van Jones and Joy Reids, and you always gonna have people like that. You know, it's the media game, it's bullshit too. But the problem is, people believe it. That's the problem. That's the problem. Some people believe that shit. I know, I get mail from them. But Tim, you need to consider this. What if Trump bring back slavery? What if Trump deport black people? What if Trump, they just try to they just try to cut off his TV twice. He's just a man. Stop acting like he could bring, the destruction of the universe. He's just a man, a 78-year-old man in his last term. And I want to see what damage you're going to do, because the system he's damaging has been damaging us in its current form. So you think, I don't believe, some of y'all just don't get it. I don't think black people got 20 more years, 30 more years of the same shit we've been going through. I don't think black people can sustain this. That's my opinion. I don't believe that we can just keep going at the rate we're going. I believe your time can run out. I believe there's only so many grains of sand in that there hourglass, baby. That's what I believe. So I believe that radical approaches must be made. And if it means changing this, and some people don't get to be comfortable, cool. People are way too comfortable. That comfort is what has us at 11%. Okay? Has our kids at 11%. You may be okay with that because you got a nice car, because you like driving for Uber. You may be fine with it, the way things are. You got a nice job somewhere. But everybody not like you. Some people struggling out here. So, yeah, I don't mean no harm, but we gotta pull our head out our ass, man. Yeah, 11%. Somebody said, Tim, what's 11%? Decipher. Decipher. 11% is the amount of black kids that are. 11% of the amount of black kids that are performing well in math at their level. Meanwhile, 75% of white kids are. So I was doing some research about the proficiency rate between black and white students. What I'm finding is that the schools that are predominantly black are underfunded, understaffed, under-resourced, and the children are undereducated. You understand what I'm saying? So the reality for some people may be comfortable, but the reality for others is detrimental as hell. It's going down a path that's destructive. Where does a child end up when they don't get a proper education, when they can't read correctly, or they can't hell. The probability of that child ending up in the prison system, which is where the system is designed to take them in. You do understand this. What's the possibility that's where they're going to end up? So you just got to think forward. So I think something radical has to happen. I was also reading about that. So that's just the Department of Justice. We could also point fingers at other government agencies and other functions and other things that happen. You know, we could point fingers at the Democratic Party. We could point fingers at our politics in general, the money in politics. It's a number of issues. Not any one issue solves any or all things. All things, right? But that doesn't mean we don't start there. That doesn't mean we don't correct it. You know, if you say, Tim Black, man, I got a lot of work I gotta get done on this car, man. My uncle left me his car, but it needs a new muffler. It needs a new timing belt. It needs some new tires. And I'd be like, look, man, I can help you with the tires. You should take it. And then you work on getting the timing belt. And you work on getting the muffler replaced. But you don't say, nah, forget them tires. You sound like you peddling Republican talking points. Because you won't fix my tires. There you go, worried about tires. That's how Democrats be sounding. That's how those people that repeat the bullshit from the Democratic Party sound. Like, dog, you're not making sense right now. You're saying something that you were told. And that doesn't help us. You talking like you think people got all day. You talking like this is not a state of emergency. You talk like we're doing well. And it's crazy that we just saw what happened with Luigi Mangione. It kind of fell away from the news. That was quick. People were rising up. They were pumped up. They were talking about the health care. Look what happened. Couple crashes. Left the news. But for a brief moment, people are like, healthcare is horrible than healthcare. It's so garbage. It's horrible that it's so parasitic. It's horrible. It's the equivalent of death panels. It's horrible. And now we on something else. Now we talk about DEI. DEI. Yep. Now we talk about DEI. So then, but that does not mean that the healthcare situation doesn't need to be addressed. It doesn't mean that we should not be looking into that issue. That's not a fight to fight. It is. That's the problem. We have multiple issues. So, God, I don't think I got anything else to say, man. I do have another clip. I'll play Shermichael Singleton. Shermichael Singleton is a CNN commentator. Well, CNN contributor. There you go, contributor. And this was short, but he said something about the budget, because a lot of talk has been made about the budget.
The table to offer a solution to cutting government spending. Once upon a time, they actually believed in that. Instead, all I have heard is whining, complaining about. And as it pertains to Democrats, Democrats have had every opportunity to come to the table to offer a solution to cutting government spending. Once upon a time, they actually believed in that. Instead, all I have heard is whining, complaining about what Trump is doing, what Elon Musk is doing. The American people every single month, Dan, has to balance their budgets. They have to see how much money they can afford to pay for certain things and how much they have to cut back. Why shouldn't the federal government do the same? You would think that my Democratic friends would agree with that. And I have seen the exact opposite.
You know, cutting back, just a word about cutting back. Of course, I support cutting back, right? I support cutting back, but I also want to talk about where the money's going to be allocated once we cut back. You know what I'm saying? So it's a multi-pronged conversation once again. That's what I'm saying. I got people going, why are you worried about that? Why are we worried about cutting back? Well, because if we cut back on things that are frivolous, when we start saying we need to spend on these things, I'm going to use all the information about the cutbacks and things that are wasteful to say we should be funding X, Y, Z. That's what our Congress people should be doing. Instead of fighting against what's coming out about the frivolous spending of the USA, the U.S. aid agency, they should be saying, hey, we should be spending that money here. They're not. They're too busy defending horrible practices, which is a telltale that there's a lot of bullshit with them. You know, it's a lot. There's something else to cover up. Why aren't they pivoting and talking about where that money should go? Because they're busy playing Jersey ball. They're playing Democrats versus Republicans. They're not working really about us, for us. So, you know, what I'll be advocating for, what we're doing on this channel, we're going to be talking about where the money should go. So we talk about where the money's going, how much went. What good is talking about Ukraine and complaining about money going to Ukraine, but not advocating for the money to go to our local states and cities for education, for instance? Right? That's the argument, right? You can make that argument. It's not just to take money out of programs. It's also to reallocate it to programs where it's more beneficial. That's what I'm saying. So we need to talk about that. But all I've been hearing, like I've been saying, all I've been hearing from MSNBC and the others is a bunch of complaining, fear mongering, like Elon Musk gonna take your Social Security number. What? Now they got Elon Musk like a Nigerian scam artist trying to jack your Social Security number. You know, all these damn websites, all social media sites you sign up that are free, they all taking our data. You do know this, right? I mean, I know you know this. Some of the arguments the Democrats make is like they've been stuck in 1999. That's why the apps are free, because they're already going through everything. They're already accessing your personal data. If Elon Musk wanted your data, he could go on the black market and buy like everybody else. He went to the Treasury Department to steal he wants access to our data. Yeah, audit the Pentagon, audit Treasury, audit the Federal Reserve. What is with that? No, it wasn't until like five years ago I even knew that the Federal Reserve wasn't a government agency. I remember one of my friends was telling me that. It was like, yeah, man, even if it's a private organization, private company. What? Yeah, private organization, man. Huh? Yeah, they be selling our money. They sell us money to the banks. Huh? Yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of kooky stuff. You start really pulling back, pulling back the blanket. Or should I say the curtain? But what the hell? If you can't afford a curtain, use a blanket. That's what we used to do. Can't afford a curtain, use a blanket. Yeah. Our first apartment had blankets. Had sheets. Hey, man. You got a nice little apartment. Look at this. We got our first apartment, baby. It's an efficiency. It ain't nothing on the windows. Okay, you got to fix that. Don't act like I'm the only one. Ain't the only one. You been there too. Yo. The bankers. Talk about the money at the USAID. Okay, let's do it.
10,000 people, employees. And every year they give away $40 billion. Mr. Musk also found, and I'm not saying that all of this money is wasteful. I'm not. Some of this money, I'm sure, does some good. That's why Secretary Rubio is going to revamp the department and separate the good from the bad. But this is the kind of stuff Mr. Musk found. He found that the USAID gave money to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. Our money, taxpayer money. He found that USAID gave money to a transgender clinic in India. I didn't know that. I bet you the American people didn't know that. He found that the USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBTQ group called Grupa Izladaji. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about? Well, he reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done.
Now, let me clear this up for you. See what I'm saying, guys? How many people have been here since I was talking about Stephen A. Smith, the DEI? When I was disagreeing with Nina Turner about DEI, when I disagreed with Stephen A. Smith or whatever about DEI, D.L. Hughley about DEI, I kept saying DEI don't mean black. Okay, did you just hear what Kennedy said? Now, I know you probably don't like Kennedy. I used to not like him too. Yeah, I used to think this guy, but don't get me wrong, he's had funny liners, funny one-liners. If you don't like the cops, fine. Next time you need a cop, don't call a cop, call a crackhead. I thought that was funny, because it was. But look what he said here. He said, U.S. aid agency gave $1.5 million to a Serbian organization. It's an LGBTQ organization in Serbia. The money was for what? DEI. Folks, how many black people live in Serbia? I rest my case. Well, don't leave now. Don't leave now that I punched you in the mouth. Don't leave now when the shoe was hurting. Don't leave now. I told you DEI didn't just mean black. We got this guy saying that USAID gave money to a foreign country where there are no black people for DEI initiatives. It's an LGBTQIA organization in Serbia for DEI initiatives. Well, you think they're going to go and recruit some black people from, I don't know, from Landover, Maryland, or some black people from Mississippi? Let's go get some black people from Alabama and bust them and fly them over to Serbia and try to infuse them into their all-Serbian fucking environment? Or are they talking about something other than black? Once again, guys, see, I'm right, and I got people that disagree with me who don't know shit, who want to be vocal and not know shit, who are just doing stuff to chase the tail of the Democratic Party, who are wind-up toys for the Democrats, who don't want to acknowledge obvious and want to mislead the people I'm trying to educate. I got a problem with it. Once again, for the people that did not hear this, I say, look, I'm tired of people equating DEI with black. It doesn't mean black. Perfect example, U.S. aid organization was giving money to Serbia, a LGBTQIA organization in Serbia. to enhance its DEI initiatives. There are no black people in Serbia. So what DEI are they working with? This is what I've been talking about. This is my point. I think, I'm just tired of people. And I know it's not everybody, but it's just some people are just so disingenuous.
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Here we go.
He found that the USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBTQ group called Grupa Izladaji. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about? Well,
we good here? Tim Black, you got a good point. That you make perfectly good sense. I guess if they're giving DEI money to other countries that don't have black people in it, and it's DEI money, that would kind of prove your point that DEI doesn't mean black. And every time someone say DEI, they're not always talking about black people. They could be, but they could also not be. Such is the case in Serbia.
He reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world. We're not talking Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, you get my point. Yeah, I just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you know what I'm talking about. That's what I was trying, that's the point I was trying to make. And luckily someone said, Tim, let's talk about the USAID organization and some of the money. There's a list of stuff. There's a list of things that they found so far. And look, guys, I'm not saying that sometimes they don't do good work. I'm not saying that that's impossible, that they do good work sometimes. But there's also times not so much good work is being done. So if you've been following this story, you'll see that if you watch MSNBC or CNN, they only talk about the good things they did that are things that they can talk about, brag about, right? Like a soup kitchen, vaccines, or, fighting diseases or clean water in some places. They leave out other stuff that they've done. So on Fox News, Newsmax, and News Nation, they're focusing on the other stuff they did that they found out that they were doing that was not so braggable. That wasn't so upstanding. That was more questionable that Americans probably wouldn't want you spending money on. So you got to kind of tune into both to get a full picture of what's being done, right? Or what happened. But if you just want to find out what are the things they did that you would not like them spending money on, you got to tune into Fox News because you're going to hear that. You're not going to hear that at all on MSNBC. They don't want you to know that all this money was going to these programs. So anyway, that's it. That's all. But look, guys, hit the like button if you like this content. Tonight was more of a freewheeling, freestyle type of night. Kind of took things easy. Kind of just went over a couple things. But if you thought it was a good show, hit the like button for us. Help us in this algorithm. That's what we got to fight. The algorithm. We ain't competing against anybody. We compete against ourselves and the algorithm. This ain't about competing against any other great people like my brother, Dr. Musa Abdul over there at All Things Education, or any of the other people with great content out there that you might like. We ain't competing against those people. We deal with trying to be better than we were yesterday and to deal with this algorithm. And that's enough. That's a full-time job. And any of my content creators out there, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give it up for Big Megs, helping out somebody with a membership. Thank you, Megs. Black Mamba came through. Support the show by ordering your TBTV mug. Right here, the Tim Black Legacy mug. Politics for the People mug. Tim Black Legacy. You get that at timblackmug.com. $20, and that concludes shipping. I pay the shipping. Flat $20. Revelator says, obviously the Democrats haven't learned anything at all. They've doomed themselves from any type of political office for the next decade. Yeah, I would like to see it go further than that, but I believe you're right. Kamala probably wouldn't have even made it into California. Yep, as far as she did without the help of her so-called mentor, Willie Brandt. I agree. I thought that when I was saying it, but I can't prove it. So I was like, okay. But as I was saying, you know, as far as her competency, she did what she needed to do to get the seat. So she competently got elected. And getting elected requires competence. Just like landing a job, it requires competence. To some extent. Black Mamba's in the house. Thank you, Black Mamba. Thank you as well. Trust No Party came through again. All right. Well, that's all I got, guys. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Buck Billy and Black Mamba, for holding it down in the comment section, as you always do. I appreciate you again, Black Mamba. That's it, guys. It's been fun. Remember, like I always say, don't let anybody take your cornbread. This show is brought to you by the Tim Black Wolfpack. Roof. Thank you, Wolfpack, for what you do. Why not just bark? I don't think that's what wolves do. Thanks for supporting this channel. And yeah, if you ain't evolving, if this political climate doesn't have you, if you are all the exact same way you are today, in 5 years, then what was going on? Like, what? The world's changed. You got to change with it. The environment's changed. You got to change with it. The Democrats have proven over the last 5 years to be worse than they were 5 years ago. I don't think a person that's being real with themselves, that's been paying attention, could possibly feel the same way they felt 5 years ago. This party has went further and further hostile towards Black Americans, towards working people in general. And with the border issue, with the border by itself, I mean, that by itself should be a deal breaker, in my opinion. Somebody said 30 million. I'm like, I don't know where they get these numbers from. But whether it's 10 million or 30 million, undocumented people were allowed in this country under Joe Biden, folks. These are deal breakers. If that ain't a deal breaker, what is? What is? When you gonna be like, that's enough? All right, guys, I got nothing but love for you, like I always say. Hey, our mission is to speak truth to power. We tell the raw truth that America deserves to hear. And our job is to get Black people out the burning building known as the Democratic Party. All right, guys, that's it. Got nothing but love for you. And remember, like I always say, where's my lady?